Hi, welcome to another week of COVID-19 and see what God does in the midst of all of this. I've got a question for you right now, though, that I've given a lot of thought of over the past weeks. What do you think was the most difficult thing that Jesus experienced while he was here on the earth? What was the most difficult thing that Jesus experienced while he was here on earth? Could it have been the betrayal by Judas, or maybe even the denial by Peter? How about by the time he was washing the disciples' feet, knowing that those feet would just scatter away from him while he was on the cross? Maybe it was while he was looking at Mary's face while he was on the cross and seeing the deep grief that she was experiencing and wishing so much that he could be down there wiping the tears from her eyes and giving her an embrace. Or maybe it was hearing the mockery and angry screams of ones whose sins he was bearing on that cross. I think that the hardest thing that Jesus experienced were one of his 7 words on the cross. They went like this: my God, why have you forsaken or abandoned me?" Only time and history and past and present and future, those words would ever come from Jesus' lips. The Trinity was dismantled. The unity that Jesus prayed for so lovingly in John 17 was dissolved. The agony was intense. What the Son of God screamed out is what you and I have cried out to God when we've been overwhelmed by despair, loneliness, only to feel as if the heavens are brass. The silence leaves us in the wilderness of seeming abandonment. Well, why did Jesus have to go through that experience? Wasn't the pain of the crucifixion enough to bear? I offer quickly 2 reasons. 1, at that time Jesus would become our high priest, who would understand the feelings we have of abandonment, the loneliness and despair. Isaiah 53 tells us that he was despised, forsaken of man, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Jesus Christ, your Creator, your Redeemer, understands your darkness, your loneliness, your pain and heartache more than anyone can. The abandonment Jesus experienced, you and I will never know. Jesus' scream was in the desert of forsakenness. Your hurt, your cry, your scream will never fall upon deaf ears. His promise in 13:5 is for real. Is for real. You may say, I've been screaming, crying, and calling out to him for years and no answer comes, or there's a no. He says to you and me with an incomprehensible love, as he did to Paul, my grace is sufficient, for power is reflected in weakness. In this ministry, we have seen it played out throughout the whole time of this work, in the lives of people who have gone through difficult circumstances and have given the pain to the one who knows, understands, and cares. The result has been a testimony of God's amazing grace. Jesus' heart-wrenching cry of forsakenness was for you and me to assure us that he understands our heartache, feels with us, and is working his grace in and through us. As Frank Graff so beautifully wrote in his hymn, Does Jesus Care?, the chorus goes like this: oh yes, he cares, I know he cares. His heart is touched with my grief. When the days are weary, the long nights dreary, I know my Savior cares. Going through COVID-19, seeing our country torn by anger, or whatever else God has directed or permitted to come into your life at this time, know with certainty that the sovereign God we serve remains strong and ever present and lovingly in control. Go with that assurance and have a blessed rest of your day.